Hey everyone, how is it going? So welcome back to the Nimzowitsch. This is the last episode that we're going to be doing, covering it. We've looked at the main lines. Today we're going to be looking at just some of the sidelines that you're still going to see relatively often. I've probably said before, but when I'm getting warmed up for these videos, I spend all my time just trying to play the opening as much as possible. And not everything goes according to plan, not everything follows the main line. So today we're just going to be looking, like I say, at some of the sidelines. As always, if you like this kind of thing, drop it a like. It just really helps the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, subscribe if you really like it. We're nearly at 800 subs, and I mean, that would be cool, wouldn't it? 800 subs. So yeah, let's just crack right on. Just as a quick recap, 1 second. Oh, lovely. Just a quick recap. The Nimzowitsch is the pawn down to the e4, and then we bring out the horsey to here on the c6. Now, on the other episodes, we looked at the pawn coming down onto the d4, then d5 coming up. We looked at the advance, we looked at the exchange and the different variations of that. But like I say, today is all about the sideline. So get yourself comfy, grab yourself a cup of tea, and yeah, let's crack right on. So we'll start with d3. d3, for some reason, is one that I come across relatively often. I'm not a huge fan of it, and you can see straight away analysis bar, it's gone from white's favour to mildly in black's favour there, mainly just because it's pretty passive if you look at it, you know, bishop's kind of a bit blocked in, really, but if they're doing that, you know that they're probably going to be pushing down the pawn to, whoopsie daisy, you know, they'll be pushing down the pawn to the g3, probably go for the fianchetto, just because it's got no real manoeuvrability there. All we need to be doing, just try and control that centre, so just push the pawn straight up onto the e5 there, controlling these squares, makes the most sense. And from here, normally you'll see something like horsey coming out, we can then develop ours, and then he goes for that fianchetto. And from here, we just need to be getting our bishop out as normal, he does the fianchetto, and we have a little bit of a choice. We can either just push the pawn up, and you can see what our plans are from here, developing the bishop to here, trying to go for that pin, get castled off to the king side, and then we'll be pushing that pawn up there. Alternatively, we can just directly attack the centre if you really want to, and again, it'll play out relatively similar, you know, we'll be looking at castling off to the king side. If he does go ahead and take, then just capture back with your horsey, that's absolutely fine, but very, very even position here. In fact, so even, Stockfish puts it at an exact 0.0. But yeah, that's pretty straightforward stuff. Nice and easy opening to get us started off with. One move that I did see when I was playing this, which was a huge miscalculation on my opponent's part, was they came down and took the pawn. Now, yes, we can just go ahead and take back, but their plan was push forward the pawn like so, with the queen there, so then we have to then take, and then he takes with the queen, thinking that he'll be nice and even. I mean, you can see that analysis bar, it's just sad trombone noises, whop, 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 because you've probably noticed, oof, and it was just such a huge miscalculation. It was tight time controls, you know, it was a minute-long game, but I really wanted to show that just because I thought it was really funny. So if you do see that, yeah, feel free to just go right ahead and pick yourself up a queen. Boom. Okay, so next one we're going to look at is the bishop coming out to here on the c4. Clearly, you can see he's targeting this f7 square. So, for now, just develop as normal. So, just get your horsey out. You can see we're attacking this pawn. He clearly can't come down because we'll just nab it straight back. But what he's going to do is try and control these centre squares here. Well, we need to do something about it. We have the horsey out, so just jump straight up and grab that pawn. If not, you're just going to end up with these bearing down, and it's just going to get super uncomfortable. So go ahead and grab it. Now, the bishop is here for a reason. He can then sacrifice himself, so we can then come across, and then our king has now lost his castling opportunities. Now, you may see him just come to here, put you straight in check. If he does, huge blunder on his part because we just jumped down. And now we're nice and safe, and he's just sacrificed that bishop for absolutely no reason whatsoever. But more than likely, what you'll see is him come across to here, putting you in check. Well, just push forwards the pawn like so to the g6, directly attacking him. And normally you'll see him come across to here, putting you in check. Now, clearly, we're going to lose that horsey, but it's not a big deal because we've grabbed his bishop. Just slide him out the way. Something like here onto the g7 is absolutely fine. And then he'll jump up and then just go ahead and nom 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 your little horsey there. From here, we just push forward the pawn. Once again, just directly attacking him. And he has a few choices. He may drop back to here onto the e2. You may see him come across to something like the h4 with plans of the bishop coming across to here, putting you in check. Don't worry too much if you do that, then all you have to do, just develop the bishop like so. This guy comes across, and then all we have to do is just jump him out of the way. If he goes ahead and takes, then we just take back with the queen, and you can see our plan from here is just going to be pushing forward the pawn, smash open the centre, and things are fairly comfortable for us. Yeah, you know, it's going to be a bit of a not a drama, but, you know, we have to, you know, like move the king out the way to get the rook out. But again, it's not a huge deal. We are really, really well developed in this position here. And, you know, things are definitely in white's favour. Now, let's just rewind a little bit to here. Let's just say he goes back to something like the e2. Well, what we need to be doing is just directly attacking the centre. We're staying super aggressive on this. So push the pawn straight up to the e5. Let him go ahead and take. Then I would probably bring out the bishop, put him in check. Yes, he's going to block it like so with the pawn, but just bring across the rook. Now, if the queen and the king directly, well, the queen's directly in front of the king there, we really want to be trying to get him trapped there. Now, you may just go ahead and capture the pawn, and that's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. Sorry, not the pawn, the bishop. Now, don't be tempted to rush straight away. Don't get greedy. Don't bring it up because he's just going to block it and things aren't ideal there for us. Capture with the horsey, with plans of jumping up to here. Now, he has to move the king out of the way like so. If he doesn't and does something, let's just say, like, I don't know, develops the horsey, then clearly we're just going to be jumping up the horsey to here, putting him in check, and the queen is now trapped between a rook and a hard place. Things are going to get really, really bad for white there. So really, like I say, he should just be moving the king out of the way, losing his castle and opportunities, and just look at the analysis bar, 1.5 in black's favour. Things are looking pretty good for us. We're really well developed. We've got, you know, this guy on the centre rank. We've got this guy out. We can get this out anytime we want. And everything's still on white's back rank there. So things are, like I say, pretty good for us. Just keep developing, get your bishop out. And you can see we're going to be looking at getting the queen out, pushing forward the pawn. Pushing forward the pawn. I don't know if I said that right the first time. I always struggle with that. I mean, ideally, we'd love to be getting the bishop across to here and then just pinning the queen to the bishop. That would be great. And then just, yeah, just smashing forwards with these guys. And then, you know, later on, just trying to get the rook onto the other open file. Things are pretty straightforward from here. And yeah, definite advantage in black's favour. Sorry, I had to quickly get changed. It is roasting in here. Right, so f4 is another one that you're going to see relatively often with white just trying to really take control of that centre. And we have a bit of a choice from here. We can either go up with the e5 or the d5, and we'll have a little look at both. So if we come up with the e5, normally you're going to see horsey coming straight out and then starting a bit of a battle over this e5 square here. Oh, sorry. So straight away, just smash forwards that d5. Just be as aggressive as possible. Now, if he goes ahead and takes, clearly we'll just use our queen to take back. He'll want to come out with the horsey just to try and attack us, so we can just drop it back to here with plans of taking the pawn, going for the discovered check. Now, normally what you may see is I'm just go ahead and take the pawn. That's fine. Capture back with the horsey, do the exchange. Queen comes out, do the queen exchange. And we are in a completely even position. And it's pretty straightforward what we're going to be doing from here. Developing out the horsey, you'll be getting out the bishops at some point. Probably castle off to the king's side, but either way is fine. I prefer the king's side, you know, like castle off king's side. Get the bishops, the rooks onto nice open files. And smash forward the pawns as best you can there. That's going to be your kind of key attack going forwards there. If we go instead with the bringing it back to here, going for the d5, normally you'll see pawn coming down with plans of pushing forwards the d4 at some point, just to get this big kind of control on the centre there. I would develop the horsey out onto the h6 with plans of bringing out the bishop. Now, you could bring out the bishop to either the g4 or the f5. I kind of prefer the g4. So pawn comes down, locks in the centre, we develop and we have plans of pushing forward the pawn just to try and lock it in. So just say after the bishop comes out, I wouldn't go ahead and do the exchange, just something, you know, like on the Caro advance where you push forwards that pawn onto the e6 there, locking in the centre. And if he does go ahead and take, don't be tempted to go ahead and capture back with the horsey. Come out like so, get him to block, and then once he's blocked, we can then do the queen exchange like so. Now, you can see he has all of this kind of going on there, but this bishop is completely kind of stuck in for the time being for the endgame. Our bishop still has some decent movement, but to be honest, once the pawn comes down, this bishop isn't really going to be doing too much. It's going to be a very much kind of knight's endgame. Get yourself castled off and then just be pushing forwards the pawns there. Bishop coming out to the b5, again, another fairly common one, and there's a few things that you can do. You can just push forward the pawn onto the a6, kick him out the way. When he moves to there, just carry on, just kind of chasing him up like so, and from there we can just go for the fianchetto on the queen side there, and you can see our plan from here. We have the bishop staring down on this really key diagonal here. We'll be jumping this guy across, hoping to try and gobble him up at some point, and yeah, should be fairly straightforward game from there. Alternatively, you can develop your horsey out like so, and there's a few ways that this can play out. Well, let's start with having a little look. If he does just go ahead and captures, well, what you want to be doing, capturing back towards the centre. Always best to be capturing towards the centre, mainly because we can get the rook onto a lovely open file here, and we're going to have plans of pushing forwards this d5 at some point here. Normally what you'll see is just him pushing forwards the pawn just to try and get this lovely little pawn chain going on here. And our main plans, if we can, would be, you know, something like pushing forwards the g6 with plans of going for the fianchetto and getting castled off nice and safe to the king's side there. Now from here, I would just push forwards straight away on the d5. Now, this line can get a little bit scary and a bit intimidating because we can end up giving up a fair bit of material, but don't worry, it does work out quite nicely for us. So if he does something like pushes straight forward and it decides to advance, just drop back the horsey to here with plans of pushing forwards this guy if we can. Now, if he does carry on just advancing, capture back like so, queen will then come across and we have to just kind of accept this pawn here on the e6 is probably going to fall. Don't worry yourself too much. Push forwards the g3 with plans of just bringing across the bishop to here. Let him come down and capture, and then just bring across the bishop. And then let him come across and also capture this pawn here. Now he's threatening our rook. Like I say, it looks a bit scary, but look at the analysis bar. It's completely even. In fact, slightly tipped in black's favour as well, so all is not lost. Just move your rook out of the way, staring down on this lovely open file. And you may notice they are actually teaming up quite nicely together, these two guys here. So like I say, it's not actually too bad. Now, this is where things start getting a little bit wild. So if he just goes and captures that other pawn, look at that analysis bar just jump right up. Like I say, these guys are working really well together. Now, we can't really go ahead and capture. I mean, we could, you know, grab a pawn, he takes back, and then we bring this up. But, you know, we're only getting a pawn. He's 2 points of material ahead of us. Go up with the rook. Now, clearly he can't capture back with his bishop because we're just going to take this, then we're going to take that, and everything is just going to get real uncomfortable for white there. So normally what you're going to see is something like the horsey coming out to here onto the a3. From there, bring across your bishop to here, staring down like this. We're now threatening his queen, and we're now threatening to try and pick up this guy as well. We also have the potential discovered attack here. Like I say, things are getting ever so spicy in this position. So queen's going to have to move out the way. It's something like this, bringing it across to the g5. Now, really, the way I probably would have been playing this would be to, you know, drop back the rook like so, get castled off to the king's side, then bring him across to here with plans of, you know, like staring down like that. Also, clearly trying to pick up that guy if we can, but he would just move out of the way anyway. Stockfish actually prefers pushing forwards the pawn to here. This puts black at a 2 advantage, whereas dropping it back puts black at a 1.7 advantage. So I'm going to trust Stockfish on this since it's, you know, it's probably smarter than me for now. So the way that this would play out would be he would develop as normal, bringing out his horsey with plans of trying to castle off to the king's side there, and we would just go ahead and get castled off. He goes ahead and takes our rook. Now we would go and capture like so. Rook would come across directly threatening you, and then we can go and capture his horsey. He would then take back with the pawn, and then we push forwards the rook like so, threaten his queen, get the queen to move out the way, then we jump down and pick up the horsey. We are now in a fairly commanding position here, and we should have a really, really good game. Bit of a funny line, things are a bit all over. We have pawn target here, but we have these guys are going to be targets. It's a bit of a wild ride, this line, but puts us 4.3 in our favour. So yeah, we should have a really good time. We have really good movement for the queen coming across, putting them in check. Yeah, like I say, we should just have a really, really good game from here. So that is the Nimzowitsch. I hope you've all enjoyed it. For the next deep dive, we're going to be looking at, I can never pronounce it, it's like Alkine's Defence. I know I've probably said that wrong. But yeah, that is the next one we're going to cover. I'm probably going to stitch all these episodes together to make like one super long episode, like an ultimate guide to the Nimzowitsch as well. So I'll look forward to that. But yeah, you dudes, go off, have some fun, play some chess, and subscribe to the channel, please. I'll catch you all later. Bye.